Hi, I'm Dr. Hackey Reitman. Welcome to another episode of Exploring Different Brains. Today we are excited to be speaking with Mara Myers. We are going to discuss a lesser-known diagnosis of which Mara is an expert, and it's called PANDAS. Welcome, Mara.
Thank you.
Mara, introduce yourself properly so our audience will know who you are.
My name is Mara Myers. I am a mom of 3. I was a nurse for 20 years, not in pediatrics. I did trauma at Ryder Trauma down at Jackson.
And tell us about your son.
So my son, back in the summer of 2021, had a febrile seizure and had some kind of infection that we weren't sure of, and was sick for about 7 days, and went to the doctor a couple times, and they said it was a viral infection. So we left it at that and we moved on. And all of a sudden, I would say a month later, started developing all these kind of bizarre neurologic symptoms. He's 7 years old. He was 6 years old at the time, which happens to be the normal onset for this. So going back, he started developing an eye blinking. Then he started with twitching of his head. So I called the doctor and they said, well, he probably just developed, he has Tourette's. Then some other weird symptoms happened. They said he has probably ADD and autism. I said, well, why did this come about all of a sudden? And they said, he's fine. I kept reading and I said, something's not right. He's developing all these neurologic. He went from being a perfectly healthy, normal boy to then having an infection and then now developing crazy tics and twitches and movements.
So I'll interrupt you here because I wanted to set the stage for our audience.
Okay.
Here's a devoted mother. The doctors can't help her. Her child's developing these strange neurological things. And you become a pioneer and an expert in what is now known as
PANDAS.
PANDAS, PANDAS. Tell our audience what that is now that you know more.
It's a sudden onset of neurologic symptoms coming from post-strep infection, or also mycoplasm can also cause it, which is one of the very high toxic levels that he had in his body. So it's an autoimmune that the body is reacting to, causing these neurologic tics and OCD and behavior changes. I had no idea.
So, wow. What a journey. What a journey you had. Who did you find to be your greatest allies during this time?
So the funny story is that my oldest son is 12, was 12 at the time. He plays baseball with another mom, and she saw my son and she said, what's going on with him? She happens to be a pediatric ER doctor, and she did her thesis paper on PANDAS. She's like, I think he has PANDAS. I said, what? What is that? So I started researching, and my pediatrician, everybody blew it off. So my husband is a surgeon at Broward Health. So I contacted one of the pediatric neurologists at Broward Health, and he said, all right, let's work up an EEG, let's do an MRI of the brain, let's sedate him and do all these tests. And this is how we came about, by her idea of thinking, I did a research paper back in medical school and I think it's PANDAS.
Wow. Wow. What advice would you have for parents who might be going through this with a mystery disease?
Never stop. I had pediatricians tell me, well, he's autistic. And I said, well, he's made it 6 years without any autism symptoms. And then he gets sick. I said, maybe it's not autism. Maybe he has something else. Maybe I just felt in my mom heart that something else was wrong. It didn't seem right.
Boy, what a tough go it is. It's a tough go when you don't know what it is. I remember when my own daughter had something, we didn't know what it was many, many years ago. And they threw up the CAT scan and the neurologist said, I have no idea what this is. And when you become a pioneer in something, it's tough stuff. Where can people go to learn more about PANDAS?
So I wound up finding a doctor at Cedars-Sinai in LA that took our case on, because I wanted her, once I got all the levels back, and the pediatric neurologist here was like, oh wow, I didn't think it was, and it's PANDAS. Look at all these high levels that he has. I just started researching, and I've just been doing it through doctors, but I've also gone on Facebook sites where I've just shared my story with other moms. I'm not really part of any big organization, but there's a lot of research out there that if you type it in, you could find it on the internet.
And how is the young man doing today?
He's good. He actually, after we gave him a heavy dose of the cure is antibiotics. So after we gave him the first time antibiotics, all the tics miraculously went away. As crazy and fast as they started, they went away. It was the weirdest thing. So over the summer, he actually got sick again. I was paranoid. I called the neurologist. I have his cell phone, and he said, no, he'll be okay. He'll be okay. We were out in Hawaii, and sure enough, the tics started again. And so I got the pediatrician to call in antibiotics. We did it again, and the tics are gone again.
Wow.
So that was the second flare up, and we knew exactly what it was.
I think maybe you ought to write a little book.
I know. It's crazy. As fast as these symptoms, he went from looked like he was having seizures with these motions, and it breaks your heart. I was hysterically crying. My poor baby, can't control the jerking in his head. And I broke down at a birthday party thinking that, they're going to make fun of him because he's constantly moving and twitching, and then a simple antibiotic and he's fine.
And what did the EEG show? Did they show anything when they did those tests? Nothing.
He was not having active seizures.
Well, is there anything we haven't covered that you'd like to cover for our audience out there?
No, just be persistent with, your child. If there's something you feel is not right, just keep pushing. If it's not listen, my husband's a doctor. I come from a medical background, but not everybody knows everything.
Mara, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. And thanks for sharing with our audience all about PANDAS. If a parent out there wants to get in touch with you, how might they do it?
I'll give you I'll put up our website. My husband's a spine surgeon. You can reach out. I run the practice. I would be happy to help anyone. It's honestly become my passion. I would love to share and say, listen, do your research, figure it out. It's my son had every single symptom, everything that you could see on the website that describes pandas, he was fitted to a T. So I would love to share and help. And
Yeah, Mara, what is the one thing you'd like all parents to know about pandas?
pandas doesn't discriminate against any kid. It happens to just be an autoimmune response your body produces. So it could happen to anyone. If you start to notice your child is acting different after getting sick, you should give the pandas a consideration for being a possibility.
Mara, it's been a pleasure to see you today. Thanks for sharing all about pandas with our audience, and we hope to have you back again at Different Brains sometime.
Thank you.
Exploring Different Brains is a production of Different Brains. Visit us at differentbrains.org.